Greetings everyone. As probably you can already tell, I am in Merchant Navy. My name is Shashank Rai. I've done 3 ships as a cadet, but I've done 3 ships. And I have a sea time of 22 months and 16 days. Did I like my seafaring life? Yes. Do I want to continue as a seafarer? Yes. Are there advantages to Merchant Navy? Obviously, that's very obvious. But are there disadvantages as well? Yes. Yes. So, it really is up on you if you want to decide if you want to be in this profession after taking the disadvantages and the advantages into account, right? Because even though the profession might be very lucratively paying, maybe this is something which is not for you, right? So how do you understand that if this profession is for you and if this profession is not for you? Well, there are 5 advantages and 5 disadvantages, which I feel as if I encountered during my 22 months and 16 days tenure during my 3 ships. And maybe you can find a little bit of insight of like if Merchant Navy as a profession will strike a chord with you or no. Well, there are 5 advantages to Merchant Navy. First being global opportunities. The Merchant Navy offers opportunities to travel and work in different parts of the world, work in different countries, different lands. It provides a chance to explore new cultures, experience diverse environments, and interact with so many more new people, right? It provides you with a healthy opportunity to grow on a personal level and on a professional level. You'd be working on your communications, you'd be working on yourself and of how you present yourself, right? So yeah, that's advantage number 1, global opportunities. What is advantage number 2? Well, that is lucrative salaries. I'm sure that most of you coming to this profession are kind of lured by the insane salary that you see of captains and chief officers and chief engineers and stuff. It's true. The salaries are pretty darn good. Even if you're working on, say, bulk carriers, even if you're working on ro-ros, or if you're working on passengers, whatever. The salaries are just insane and like it is everything that a person could desire for. Right? Seafarers often receive competitive salaries, like compared to the other professions as engineering, as doctors, maybe the best of your class, like if you were in 12th, if you were in high school, and like your batchmates were like excelling in studies and most of them decided to like, okay, let's just go to the engineering side of the equation or like the doctor side of the equation. You, my friend, would be earning a lot more than them. But obviously, like there is a lot more work which has to be put in as well. But opportunity is there. Right? That makes the second advantage, that is lucrative salaries. Coming to the third advantage is career progression. Merchant Navy offers clear career progression paths. A deck cadet, 3rd officer, 2nd officer, chief officer, master. Right? Trainee marine engineer, 3rd assistant engineer, 2nd assistant engineer, 1st assistant engineer, chief engineer. You have clear progression paths for everything. There is a hierarchy set up just for you. Right? And starting as a cadet, individuals can work their way up to the officer ranks, gaining higher responsibilities and better remuneration. With better ranks, obviously comes better pay and better compensation for things. Some companies might also be inclined to provide you with things as paid leaves, other health insurances and health benefits, right? So there are opportunities for specialization and further education which are to enhance to your professional growth. If you so wish, you can study after becoming a captain as well. Proceed to become an extra master, proceed to become a pilot, proceed to do whatever you want in life. Or if you feel like it, you can work as a superintendent. Alright, so that makes the third point, that is career progression, right? That brings us to the fourth point, and that is skill development. Working in Merchant Navy allows individuals to develop a wide range of skills, right? So, like in your DNS training or in your BSc training, even in your engineering training, you are trained in the various arts of plumbing, carpentry, fitting, and electrical stuff. So like, you sort of become like the Sarvagun Sampann person who can perform and do almost everything. Even when you're on board, you're doing things of other ranks, you are fulfilling responsibilities of other ranks, perhaps helping engineers in their jobs, perhaps the engineers are helping you. Maybe you're helping the galley staff out. So like, there is sort of like this holistic family thing. It just comes to you. You become like this very holistic person. You have the different aspects nailed down. You can deal with situations a lot better because you have so many skills within you to combat or deal with the situations now. Right? So yeah, working in Merchant Navy allows individuals to develop a wide range of skills, including leadership, team building, problem solving, communication, and obviously technical expertise. These skills are valuable not only in the maritime industry, but also to you on a personal facet. If you wish to expand on your businesses, if you wish to do something of your own, Merchant Navy does help you out a lot because you're learning so much from it. You're learning so much from the people who you sail with, and you're learning so much from your superiors and seniors, right? So yeah, that brings us to the fourth point. That brings us to the end of the fourth point, which was skill development. Bringing us to the fifth point, which is job security. Now, many people might be inclined to think that this is like the privatized sector, right? So, what about the job security? But the demand for skilled seafarers will always remain a constant, and even in trying times. Even during COVID times, when all of the other businesses were shut, we were still working. I was still employed. My seniors were still employed. Most of the seafarers that I knew of, they were all still employed. And we were still working and we were still getting paid and still crying about like no sign-offs and stuff. But yeah, even in the face of adversity, there is no profession that is going to survive anything but this profession, right? Because there will always be a demand for goods. And as long as there is a demand for goods, there will always be a demand for shipping. So that brings us to the end of the advantages. Now let's get to the disadvantages of Merchant Navy. Starting off with the first point and the most obvious point, it is the separation from your family, your friends, your partner, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever. But yeah, one of the significant challenges in Merchant Navy is the long period spent away from home. Maybe even if you don't have a family, or even if you don't feel yourself as a family person, long stays on board does get to you. It tires you so much. So yeah, also there are like time challenges, there are time restrictions, so maybe you're not able to give all of your attention and your free time to your family, to your friends, and maybe it might feel as if you are distancing yourself from their lives. You know, it is sort of like a very like disadvantageous thing, but I feel as if you can turn it into an advantage for yourself. Why do I feel this way? It's because us Merchant Navy people, we have this innate thing within ourselves because we have sailed, we have been away from our families. We sort of hold the family cultures or the familial values very close to our heart. We hold our heritage and our culture very close to our heart. And that is one of the things which just like makes us even more involved in our family events, even more involved in what goes on in our families. Most of the people that I've seen, even my batchmates from school, from my high school, middle school times, those people, even though they might have been doing really good, even though they might have been with their families all along, they maybe don't understand the importance of family so much because they have always been living with them. They never stepped out of their comfort zone rather. So yeah, that is the first point, that is long separation from family and friends. Again, I feel as if this is not like a disadvantage, but it could be treated like a healthy advantage if you put in the work, if you wish to look at things a bit differently. So the second disadvantage is the demanding work environment. Now the work environment is pretty damn challenging. If you have to work on the deck and there is no other choice, well, I'll just give you an example to better explain things. We were sailing off from the coast of Guaymas, Mexico, and we were going off to San Francisco, US. So in that, we were changing the grade of the cargo. We had discharged all of the cargo which we had in Mexico, and then we were planning to load a different grade of cargo. So for changing the grades of cargo, we were supposed to be doing tank cleaning, but it was the month of January, and the west coast of US is like very harsh during this time, especially when you're sailing, right? So yeah, we were supposed to be doing tank cleaning operations. It was late night work. You had to like put in hours, forget about sleeping and stuff. For the 4 days that we were like performing the tank cleaning operations and everything else, the winds were very harsh, like those were 90 kmph, 110 kmph winds. Then it was drizzling, and those drizzles, those droplets were hitting on faces like somebody was smacking you very hard with their hands or something. It was a very challenging experience, but at the same time, I felt as if it was one of the most rewarding experiences as well. Because after you complete a job that harsh, it just provides you with a very rewarding feeling from within. So you feel very happy, like after a job, and then okay, finally. Then you like lay on your bed. So like the sleep that you get uske baad, it's just unparalleled. Anyway, so yeah. Life at sea can be physically and mentally demanding. Seafarers may face rough weather conditions, heavy workload, and 24/7 work schedule, as I've already told you. The nature of the job requires adaptability, resilience, and the ability to work in confined spaces for extended periods. Now, one of the things which is not addressed much in our profession, I think it is, but I don't think people understand the relevance of it, it's the mental health situation. Because you're staying away from your family, because you're staying away from your people, because you're staying away from all of the people that may be able to help you when a situation as this comes, depression or sadness can get pretty darn hard to you. So, once you start noticing the patterns within you, that maybe you are ending up in a negative loop, negative chain of thoughts, you have to do something. You have to do something to pull yourself out of that rut. Because it's very difficult to break the inertia, especially if you're falling. So, like if you're falling into a trajectory of negative spiral of thoughts or something like that, if you're spiraling in, you have to try to break the inertia, try to ask for help. There are so many means available to you at this day and age, so many people available to speak up about these things. So if you face or if you know anybody who faces these issues, please never be afraid to ask for help, seek for help, or provide for help, right? We are all in this together, and Merchant Navy people, it's like a very small seafaring community. The people who are watching this video, we might encounter each other on a ship or maybe on VHF communication or something. The world is very small and we must look after each other to preserve this community, to preserve the brotherhood that exists in this profession. It's a very beautiful profession because just everything is tied around each other, right? So yeah, that was the second point, that is demanding work environment. Third is isolation and loneliness. Again, very important. And I have faced that myself. Many of the people that I have been in touch with, they have faced that too. So isolation and loneliness is sort of like a problem. Due to the nature of their work, seafarers can experience feelings of isolation and loneliness. And because of the limited social interaction, you might feel disconnected from the world. That is the third point, that is isolation and loneliness. Brings us to the fourth point, which is potential risks and hazards. Working in Merchant Navy involves certain risks. Seafarers may encounter many accidents. They may be susceptible to being injured. There might be life-altering injuries which might happen. There might be deaths. There might be natural calamities which maybe you can't do nothing about. And maybe you are unlucky or unfortunate enough to see them in front of you as well. So yeah, accidents happen, incidents happen, but that is what we strive for. Safer seas, safer environments. Protect yourself at all costs. Protect your team at all costs. And how does that protection come? How does that safety come? It comes from conscious safety awareness. Conscious awareness of where you are. Being present at the moment. Not just gazing around or working blankly. Understand what you're working on. If you're working on something which is pressurized, depressurize it first and then work on it. Prioritize your safety. Nothing else matters above that. You can get another job. You can get into another profession if you don't like this profession. But when you're on board, you have to be vigilant 24/7. You have to be conscious. You have to be aware 24/7 about what happens around you, right? So that brings us to the last disadvantage, and that is limited personal freedom. Because while on board, seafarers have limited freedom and are subject to strict regulation and routines. They have to follow shipboard rules and protocols, and their activities may be restricted during certain critical operations. You don't have much freedom to go about, there is just your ship, right? So much of the time you might feel as if there are not many activities for you to be engaged in. Make books your friends, make movies your friends. Find things in your life which you're very interested in, which you can do when you're alone, which you don't need any other people for, So there is limited personal freedom. Well, the advantages and disadvantages can vary from person to person, from officers to officers, from ranks to ranks. It really does depend upon your own personal experiences of what you encounter. I've shared the advantages and disadvantages which I feel as if they must be made clear before you venture out to the seas, before you find wind to your sail. So yeah. With that being said, that brings us to the end of this video. And as always, I would urge you to like, comment and subscribe and share this video with as many people as you feel would be benefited from this. So take care, and if you're just going on your sail right now, happy sailing. Bon voyage.